Jesus that millions or billions subscribe to. The religion of Jesus. The religion that transforms us into these beings of light, capable of raising Lazarus from the dead, and we are Lazarus, we are the dead, from the soul's perspective. Nefertiti and Mari Tara's mythology was cut and pasted and applied to not the Virgin Mary, the whore, the slut, the prostitute. Throw any name you want at her, church. Go ahead. The truth is that she was none of those things. They call her that because they have to keep people from following her mystic teachings. Mari, the goddess Mari, and Mary Magdalene are probably one and the same, a continuation of the same teaching, a continuation of the same priestesshood. Mari is also Eve. And when Mari eats from the serpent, she is eating the wisdom of the tree of life, which is the blue apples, which is the gift that Ea brought to earth, or came to earth in search of, rather. This could well be an accurate portrayal of the crucifixion right here, where the fish god, Jesus, Ea, with his pillar behind, opens up the gateway through the moon, the ark, leading to another craft above. The actual pillar of crucifixion. Remember, Mary Magdalene was called the jar bearer. And when I go to southern France, we're in search of the secrets of her jar. In Cathars called that jar Emar, Amor, love, the flower of light. And the flower of light is the pillar that I've been describing, represented by various artists throughout time who probably didn't know what they were talking about. What they were talking about was an original technology possessed by the Egyptians, but also originally known by the Sumerians as well. And so when Mary Magdalene is shown holding the skull, it's not a skull, it's the same as this skull right here, which represents the soul, the wisdom of the Savior, the skill of God. And by the way, there's another word play there. The word skill or a skill is phonetically similar to eskol, or Eshkol, the place where Joshua stole the grapes from the Anunnaki. The grapes being the symbol for the skill in the skull. A skill in a skill. Mary Magdalene was symbolized by the cluster of grapes. So was Jesus. Here are two thieves from Eshkol. Joshua and his companion stole the cluster of grapes from the Anunnaki, and in this Gnostic portrayal, the grapes show up at the crucifixion. Why? Because the crucifixion was a Stargate event. Interestingly, the pillar was housed at a place in Egypt called Rasto, which means, Ras means wisdom and Tau means pillar. This is a Gnostic portrayal of the crucifixion that shows Jesus as a serpent winding around a pillar just exactly like this pillar of Osiris right here, with its Shuti tablets of enlightenments up on top. In the early Christian text, the word cross did not appear until after the year 600, again when the church had its opportunity to do its dirty work. The original Greek word used for the pillar of crucifixion was stau-ro, the mirror image of Ra-sto. Again, this is an example of where they cut and paste from the ancient world, flip it around, and call it new. It's not new at all. In the Chateau at Dom, France, where Knights Templar were imprisoned after the persecution by the Catholic Church in 1307, is found a depiction of the crucifixion that is slightly twisted from the accepted church version, or the church version is twisted from the original event. Joseph of Arimathea is shown catching precious droplets of Jesus' royal blue blood, presumably with the Grail. On Jesus' left is a pregnant woman holding a wand or a rod. This would be the rod, and the woman would be Mary Magdalene, pregnant with Jesus' family, his child. The rod that he holds in his hand is a branch made from the tree of life, our pillar, which I believe is what is represented here. Jesus is using that same pillar to open up the mouth of the serpent Leviathan. You look up the word Levi and Atan, you find that Levi means love or life, Atan means tone. Jesus is using the pillar to open up the love tone. The church version of the story says Leviathan is a wicked serpent to be avoided at all costs. Yeah. Because they're out of business once you find any of this stuff out. Jesus uses the pillar to open the love tone, the Stargate, the wormhole, with the pillar of love, which is the device that opens the wormhole, which is again why he's shown journeying through the fish, through the wormhole. So here's my Stargate crucifixion sequence. Jesus on the pillar, the staro, the pillar of wisdom, the pillar of love, flying vehicle on either side. Detail of the flying vehicle on either side of him with the face clearly in the middle of it. From Kosovo, another crucifixion scene, flying vehicle over here, flying vehicle over there. Close-up of the flying vehicle from Kosovo. Yikes. Why, again, when I go to church in Nashville, all of them show UFOs present at the crucifixion. It's just clearly known that that's what was going on, right? The crucifixion was a Stargate event, and he opened up this wormhole into another realm assisted by the Anunnaki. I mean, that's basic Christian dogma, isn't it? Through the wormhole, the Stargate. This is a depiction from 15th century Germany, showing Christ in the center, this kind of labyrinthine network of, I submit, representing the wormhole with a guy popping out the other end. Same thing here, Jonah and the whale story, entering the fish, this sort of labyrinthine trail of the wormhole with Christ coming out on the other end. All ascension scenes, all transfiguration scenes show, not all I should say, but most show him standing in front of the bullseye, which is never identified. But I've already shown you earlier that the bullseye here is the symbol for the stargates or the wormholes. The transfiguration scene, when Jesus goes up on the mountain with a couple of disciples and Moses and Elijah meet him, and he's transfigured before their very eyes. His cloak transforms into light. On the way back down from the mountain, Jesus tells the disciples, hey, I appreciate if you don't mention this to anybody, what happened, this kind of thing. Bullshit. I mean, come on. They just performed this. They're not, he's going to want to tell everybody. The gate to God is open again. But is that what happens? No. What does the church do? Slams the door shut again. Feeds us a fairy tale. All you have to do is believe. Well, that's probably a good path for the majority of people. That's the religion about Jesus. But the religion of Jesus is far different. And for some reason, as I've pointed out, the church sees fit to try and exterminate all those who oppose it. From Russia, transfiguration scene, standing before the gateway. Hildegard of Bingen's incredible depiction through the gateway again. And once again, the bullseye, symbolic, a two-dimensional representation of the three-dimensional wormhole. Here's a depiction of Jesus holding the Book of Life with the Stargate or wormhole symbol on the cover of it. I suspect the book's title is An Idiot's Guide to Wormholes. Co-written by Ea, who popped out of his pillar or can and delivered the secrets of the stars. Why is Jesus portrayed on the body of a serpent here? Because he delivered the secrets of the wormhole. This incredible drawing was made in 1798, 100 years before this face appeared on the first photograph of the Shroud of Turin in 1898. Which means that the person that drew this bas, or actually originally sculpted this bas-relief, had to have seen the man, which is widely believed to be Jesus, and I think that's Mary Magdalene. And I like to joke that this took place in Alexandria, and probably what happened is they went to a carnival in Alexandria and they stuck their heads through one of these things here, and someone made this depiction. Yeah? No? I don't know. The Gnostics portrayed Jesus as the serpent, and I believe it was to connect him, one, with Ea, And 2, the secrets of the wormholes. Nostradamus had an encounter with this very same creature. He called him the king of Tyre, who built Solomon's temple. But Tyre is also the king of terror. It's also the king of Tara, who is Ea, who delivers the skill of life, who delivers the blue apples. Also known as the serpent's eggs. And remember, if you can obtain one of these eggs, you would prosper in all your undertakings. Now, see, what I think has happened is you have this crucifixion scene, and it's like, okay, where's the beef? You know, surely this guy goes into the wormhole for 3 days, comes back out, and he's got something with him. What happened to it? Maybe it went to England, probably Ireland, Rennes-le-Château, or other possibilities for where it went. And remember that as it came out from the tail of the serpent, it must be caught in midair in a cloak, and then he who seized it must gallop off on horseback and jump across a river. Well, does this have any correspondence to why the Knights Templar showed 2 men on a horse? I believe it does. Here is another symbol for the Knights Templar, showing the skull and bones, the pillar with the serpent wound around it, all within an 8-pointed star. Symbol of the Babylonian symbol for Nibiru. The Knights Templar, as we know, were deeply interested in the mysteries of the Grail, and they called themselves the protectors of the secrets of Christ, the Grail. In 1100 AD, they went into Solomon's temple in Jerusalem, which was made by the king of Tyre, and did some excavating. And they come back out and they allege that they have the secrets of the Grail. And as we'll talk in a moment, they go to France with these secrets. Do you realize that there's a major discrepancy between Solomon's Temple 1 and Solomon's Temple 2? The original Solomon's Temple had been built in 1100 BC by King Solomon. It would have been destroyed in 576 BC by Nebuchadnezzar, and then it was rebuilt approximately at the time of Jesus, about 30 years before. Solomon's Temple 1 had a porch on the front of it whose height was approximately 20 cubits. Solomon's Temple 2 has a porch whose height is 120 cubits. Big discrepancy. We're talking about basically the difference between a 4-story building and a 15-story building. How do you explain the discrepancy? Well, they say, well, it's just simple hubris. The Hebrew scribe wanted to puff themselves up. Oh, we built this huge, tall porch type of thing. Or that it was a typo. They wrote 120, but they really meant to write 20. The other explanation is that the porch really was 120 cubits high. I believe that the porch really was 120 cubits high, and the reason is because it was designed to house a 90 to 180 foot tall pillar that was later used at the crucifixion. And when the Templars went into Solomon's temple and recovered the secrets of the crucifixion in Christ, what they actually recovered was something that has far more to do with the stars than it does have to do with a simple carpenter's cup. In fact, it has to do with our pillar. This is another depiction from the Winchester Bible. And what we see here is David, King David, with his lyre or harp in hand, taking the Ark of the Covenant into Jerusalem, which was to be housed at Solomon's Temple. Solomon's Temple 1, and was quite possibly even there at Solomon's Temple 2. So here's David carrying the Ark into Jerusalem. The question is, what else do you see in this picture? Well, what I see is a pillar over here on this side, and I see a serpent on this side attached to the ark. When you take this pillar and this serpent and put it on that ark, what do you have? You have the true Ark of the Covenant. This is another depiction from the same Winchester Bible. It suggests to me that somebody knows that there's a missing piece to the Ark of the Covenant. And that is why the discrepancy between the two Solomon's temples, or excuse me, the two temples of Solomon. It was the second one was designed to house this enormously tall pillar that was used at the crucifixion.